Hello, everyone. This is Tamar Boone, your host for the National Society of Black Engineers Twin Cities Professional Chapter, or NSBE TCPC for short. I am the current programs chair of the NSBE TCPC and your host for the first episode of the NSBE TCPC Podcast. Now, before we begin, we must recite the mission statement for the National Society of Black Engineers. The mission of the National Society of Black Engineers is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. Now, I will introduce you to our guest, Raymond Smith-Byrd, and our chapter president.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ray Smith-Byrd. As Tamar has already said, and this is my second year serving as the president for NSBE TCPC. Really love NSBE as a whole. Been involved with NSBE since I was in college. Freshman year in college, University of Michigan. And once I graduated, chose to continue in NSBE leadership and now serving as the leader of our professional chapter here in the Twin Cities. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for your leadership. So you seem like you've been in NSBE for quite a long time. So out of all those years you've been in NSBE, what does NSBE mean to you?
What does NSBE mean to me? So, like I said, it's been in NSBE since freshman year of college. I started college in 2014, so that's 6 years, going on 7 years now. For me, NSBE is, inspiration. NSBE helped me get my first internship, helped me get my GPA right, once I was starting college. And I think the biggest aspect was NSBE is community, right? Because going from born and raised in the city of Detroit, Michigan, I went from a high school that was 99% Black to the University of Michigan, 4% Black, right? So it was shell shocking, right? I was in classes with people who, one, didn't look like me. They didn't know where I was from. They didn't know my background, and I just couldn't relate, right? So NSBE, being in the College of Engineering, that was the home away from home. I'm looking for somebody I can relate to, somebody I can confide in, somebody who understands me, somebody I can study with and turn up with. And that's exactly what NSBE was, like we would study together, and then on the Friday, Saturday night, we hanging out together. So, and then Sunday we right back at study jams, getting ready for that exam on Monday. So NSBE was all of those things in one, and decided to stay with it today. And it's still the same thing, right? Community, but now in the professional realm, it's also that development aspect. So how do we continue to develop so that we can continue to climb the ladder within our own respective industries?
Cool. So how did you first hear about NSBE?
Funny story. So I, like I said, grew up in the city of Detroit, and in Detroit, like it's two big schools, right, for college. Like you either want to go to Michigan State or you want to go to University of Michigan. I wanted to go to University of Michigan, the dominant school, the best school, right? So knowing that, very biased, but it's the truth. So I went to Renaissance High School, which is actually the best high school in Detroit too, academically. From Michigan. You know Renaissance versus Cass Tech. Forget Cass Tech. All right.
So I had a friend that went to Cass Tech, and that's the only who I knew in Detroit at the time. It was Cass Tech. And they were also on one of the you ever seen those that Steve Harvey Neighborhood Award show that he hosts?
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so Cass Tech they get a lot of awards at that as well.
Man,
so that's
about Cass Tech. Cass Tech second to Renaissance. That's their motto. The Renaissance, right? So I had a teacher actually that said that she looked at my transcript. She saw that I was really good at math and science, and she came up to me one day. I was like, Ray, you're really good at math and science. You ever thought about being an astronaut? I was like, an astronaut? I'm not going to space. Like that wasn't even an option for me. So she was like, okay, maybe not space, not an astronaut. But have you ever heard about engineering? And at the time, I was in the 11th grade. I didn't know what an engineer was. When people were talking about going to college, they were saying like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. Like nobody was talking about engineering or studying in the sciences. So I was like, no, I have no idea what that is. So she recommended that I, look more into it. So I did. I did my research, and I found a summer program at the University of Michigan, right? It was called SCEEP, the Summer College Engineering Exposure Program. And they let us stay on campus at the University of Michigan for a week. And it just so happened that one of my, RAs, or one of our counselors, she was a NSBE member, and I'll give her a shout out. Her name is Erin Moore. We call her Mama E. And she was the one that was like, if you come into Michigan, like you need to be a part of NSBE. You need to join our NSBE chapter because we'll help you get your GPA right. We'll help you get internships, and it's the family. And I was like, all right, I don't know what NSBE is, but I'll keep that in mind if I come here. And I came back and I found Mama E, and she got me a part of NSBE. So I really appreciate her for telling me about NSBE, and because it actually changed my life. NSBE did change my life.
Yeah, so how I got introduced was through my brother. So for me, I have an older brother. He works at Owens Corning currently, but he's a chemical and biomolecular engineer. And so when I was in middle school, I was super heavily focused on football, but I knew if that didn't go right, I wanted to go to engineering because I knew about engineering since middle school. Because my brother, he was in a high school that was mainly focused on, like, they had like a separate engineering program that he was a part of. So I knew a lot about engineering through him. So I knew that was one of the ways to go. And then I also was thinking about being a mechanic, but I was like, all right, do I go engineering? Do I go the trade school route? And I was like, well, engineering get more money right out of college, so I'll go that route.
Hey, I know a lot of mechanics, man. They make good money too.
They make bread. They just don't make it as quickly. It's from what I understood when I was in 8th grade, at least.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Detroit, like, you know, the automotive industry was like huge, right? The big three, Chrysler, GM, Ford. Everybody wanted to work for one of those companies. But I was never really that big on cars. Like, that was never really one of my things. You know. I guess I was weird.
I got really heavy into them. Like, I never worked on a car or anything, but I was always interested since the Fast and Furious movies came out.
Yeah, I used to play those games, definitely.
Yeah, that was my game right there.
All Turismo. Yep. I was never that good, but I was playing them.
Yeah, so I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and my middle school was 95% Black, but I went to a private high school, which was like the complete opposite. So I had like that huge culture shock, like in high school. So like when I got to college, which was at New York University, I was kind of already prepared for that. So it didn't hit me as much, but my brother told me when I was a senior in high school, and he was like, yo, if you're going to go to engineering, make sure you join the NSBE chapter. So I was like, all right, bet. First, as soon as I got on campus, that was the first thing I did. I was like, all right, where NSBE at? Went to the meeting, and I've been hooked ever since.
Hey, well, coming into NSBE, it's like a family reunion, man. It's like, so when you come to, like, the first NSBE event I ever went to on campus, I don't know about yours, but it was the barbecue. And the barbecue, welcome barbecue was always huge. They got food, they got a DJ, they got dancing, like, and in my NSBE chapter, we had our own little NSBE shuffle. You know, they had a whole song that they picked out, and they had, you know, dance moves. It was a line dance that they did to it. So when I saw the NSBE shuffle, I was like, oh, NSBE is lit. I got to stay in NSBE, man. They got food, they got dancing. I can do this.
Yeah, when I first went there, when I went to NSBE, that was literally where all the Black people, because my school was actually assimilated into NYU. It was its own standalone engineering school at first. Then NYU wanted an engineering school, so they took ours. So when I first got there, it was just engineering school, and where all the Black folks were in NSBE. So that was like, all right, cool. That's where I'm gonna go.
Hey, you got to stay where the Black folks are, right? You know, we were looking for. That's what we were looking for. We needed that community. We needed somebody we could relate to, and that's what NSBE provided. That's a lot of times when I talk to people who have been in NSBE a long time, you know, it's the same story as to how we got involved and what we were looking for, what made us even seek out NSBE. You know, we were looking for community. We were looking for some type of organization that would help us to continue to grow, continue to find out who we are, and that's what NSBE provided, right? The national convention, like, I know you've been to multiple national conventions.
Yep.
You know, NSBE national conventions. I know we're in this whole virtual, you know, realm now, but NSBE national conventions are really the family reunion. Like, I still meet people that I met, you know, like my first NSBE convention, like I still see them every national convention that I go to. Like it's always love every time we see each other.
Yep, same here. So speaking of that community impact, like, touch on those 3 pillars. Like, how do those 3 pillars of the excel academically, succeed professionally impact the community? Which one do you I guess take hold heart the most? and like how do they interplay within your success in your professional and academic careers?
I think that's a solid question. I don't necessarily know if one more than the other. I guess over is more important than the other. I think they all build upon each other. I think they're all important to us as Black professionals, in order to continue to achieve and continue to inspire those under us and lift as we climb. Like, we have to be excelling academically, we need to be succeeding professionally, and we need to be positively impacting our community. Like, I think all three are strong pillars that all of us as Black engineers, but even beyond just Black people, I think we all need to take those three pillars as something that we hold high and important to our lives. And we need to instill that in our children whenever we do have children. I ain't got no kids. I know you don't have any kids right now, but I think that's like, even the youth that we mentor, right? Like, there's a reason that we say the NSBE mission before we do anything, right? How you started this meeting off with, the mission of the NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, is to, like, we do that to remind ourselves why we do what we do. We don't do this youth programming just for our health, right? We do it because we want to make sure that we are lifting as we climb, and that we're changing the face of what STEM looks like. In order for us to do that, we have to be living out those same values ourselves, right? We have to be excelling academically. We had to get our degrees. We had to struggle through College of Engineering, which we did, and we got our degrees, right? We got to succeed professionally, right? We got to continue to climb. We can't remain stagnant. We got to always be climbing for more. And then we got to positively impact our community, because we are the people that we are making a change in the world today, right? Like, our ancestors, they made a better world for us. It's on us today to make the change for the future engineers that are coming behind us, right? And we need to be filling that pipeline with younger students, which our partnerships with Minnesota STEM Partnership, NSBE Seek Summer Engineering Experience for Kids, like, that's how we're doing it. So I think all three are important and vital.
Yeah. So how can those three pillars be used to solve the issues in our community, right? So, as engineers, we're all problem solvers, and there's a lot of problems within the Black community as a whole, right, that we need to fix, and sometimes we need others to help us fix it as well, right? But as an engineer, like, how can you use those to solve some of those, those three pillars to solve some of our issues, whether that be in, like our interpersonal relationships, out in the world with like hunger, like you have Flint, Michigan with the water crisis and things like that. Right? So like how do you use those things to help impact, to help, our community, the Black community as a whole?
Nah, that's a solid question as well, man. And there's this thing, right, where I think a lot of people can be overly prideful, and especially within certain organizations, like we have to be willing to collaborate, across lines. Like NSBE, like we have, of course, the National Society of Black Engineers. We have, as well as like there's other organizations focused in other functions, right? Like NABA, National Association of Black Accountants. There is, National Black MBA. Like, we have to partner together. It's not just that NSBE can solve our own issues in our Black community. Like, we have to be partnering and holding hands together in order to highlight the issues, but be willing to, ask for help, like collaborate with one another. I think there's importance in being willing to collaborate and stand together against the issues that we have in the Black community, right? Like you said, Flint water crisis. I'm from Michigan. Flint hasn't had, good water in 3-5 years, right? And that's a systemic issue. That's not something that, they can't solve that themselves, right? They need help, right? And they need, the Black community to stand together in order to solve issues like that. And I think we also need to be supporting and partnering with across races, right? So the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, our chapter partners with them a lot. You talked about infrastructure. We partner with EWB, Engineers Without Borders, right? So what we're trying to do here in the Twin Cities is build a community of collaboration. We're not trying to, NSBE, we don't think we can solve all the world's problems by ourselves. And we know that. That's why we're so willing to partner, to unify, to come together in order to, because there's power in numbers. When we put our minds together, we can solve the world's issues. We can overcome any obstacle, but we have to be willing to partner and be willing to, lend that helping hand to somebody else who is in need too.
Yep, I definitely agree. So if we need all this help, and which we do, but like a lot of times I see a lot of people, they talk a lot about the issues, but I don't see a lot of action behind those talk, right? So how do you think, how can we like push the narrative, like getting from a talking stage to actually doing an action phase?
Yeah, I think the
Or like
COVID.
what? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, what were you
No, I was
about
about
to
to
add to
say,
the
like,
question?
yeah, I was about to add to the question a little
Go
bit.
ahead.
I was because like a lot of times I like, especially on social media, you see a bunch of people talking like, we need to do this, but nobody's ever willing to step up, and nobody's ever willing to
Man,
step up and
you
pick up
talk
the
about
mantle.
Twitter.
Like, hey,
People, Twitter fingers just be talking, man. They just
yeah,
say
man,
whatever on Twitter.
they never want to pick up that mantle themselves and like, all right, instead of talking about it, let me go ahead and actually do something. Like I'm like Marshawn Lynch, I'm about that action. If it ain't about that action, I want to do with it. which is why I kind of wanted to, which is why I've been in NSBE and always been real involved on the PCI side, as well as all the volunteering events, because I know what it's done for me. So it's like I gotta get that back, right? So it's like I don't for me, it's very frustrating when I see people talk about the issues but never want to actually do anything to solve it. So like, how do you think we can go from that talking to the action?
More community think tanks. We need more community collaborators that are willing to take charge, right? There, like you said, there are a lot of people out there that are especially since George Floyd, right? Since George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right, in our own backyard. A lot of companies even have made these racial equity pledges, they say a lot of good things that sound good, but what are we actually doing in the communities, right? Like we're talking, we're making these pledges, but the action is not following up with what you said you would do. It just sounded good for the time because all these other companies, all these other people are making these pledges and saying these things, allyship, right? Like I want to be on my allyship journey. I want to better support underrepresented communities. But how are you? Are you getting out there? Are you out there holding hands with that community that you said you want to serve? No, you're not. You're just reading Twitter, reading social media, watching Fox News, and they're feeding you what they want to feed you about these communities. But a lot of people aren't willing to take that step, aren't willing to get with an organization like NSBE, like the Minnesota Urban League, other organizations that are actually doing the work and actually trying to impact these numbers and these drastic things that need change, these systemically racist systems. However, you just want to complain about it. That's not right. But if you want to, you can join hands with the National Society of Black Engineers as we do programs, as we try to impact kids, as we try to impact this Minnesota education achievement gap. Minnesota is the worst state, or it's either the worst or the second worst state in the education of Black students.
Yeah, I think
it's Wisconsin. Wisconsin's the worst.
Yeah. I think it's second worst for Blacks and first and like the worst for Hispanics.
But I think Minnesota has the largest education achievement gap in the United States, though.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about you, but I've seen around these schools and they look like high schools look like colleges. Like they are, you got all types of.
I don't want to say no specific high schools, but some high schools got like 3, 4, 5 football practice fields. They got
turf baseball fields,
and then you go over to North High School and what they got. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Struggle's real.
Just compare the communities, and you will see the disparity in how the state is prioritizing the education of Black students versus non-Black students, right? So that is this I can't say a word. Let me cut out of that. A systemically racist system right there. You can just look at it.
Yeah, the disparity is crazy.
Exactly.
Like I remember when I first moved here, and I was going to one of the high schools around my neighborhood. Like speaking of which, they just got like 4 brand new practice football fields for their high school. They had a stadium, 4 turf football fields right behind it. Then they got on the other side, they got another turf with a dome there. Then they got like another practice football field and a bunch of soccer fields in the back, along with a bunch of baseball fields that they use as well. And
they got like 4 or 5 turf fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 6 total turf fields, 1 with a dome, 1 stadium.
I think North is playing on grass, aren't they, with no lines? They just got my man's in the corner in the end zone with cones, and that's it. Oh man.
Man. Well, speaking of sport, so like, what kind of things were you into in high school? Like sports, hobby? Yeah.
Yeah, in high school, man, I was big on sports too. I played football, varsity. I was the varsity football captain my senior year. I ran track only because I had to. Yeah. I did not like track, man. I only ran because our head coach of the football team was also the head coach of the track team. He said, if you do not run track, you are not playing football. So I had to get out there. Man, I hated it, bro. But I was a sprinter. I ran the 400. No, I didn't run the 400. I ran the 400 whenever he made me.
I hated the 400. That's the worst race ever.
That is the worst because you got to run it. Like you can't half it. I was a sprinter of 100 and 200. That was what I was running. Then I also played golf. My granddad taught me how to golf my 10th grade year of high school. I didn't play 11th grade because I didn't know when golf season was. I didn't even know we had a golf team. And then senior year I played. And it's crazy because, like I said, not in Detroit, not many people play golf.
Yeah, high school. When you said golf, I was like, oh, I'm surprised.
Exactly. It was like 5 schools, 4 or 5 public schools that had teams. And I think a lot of them were joined together. So my first year playing golf, I was all city.
That's what's up.
Oh man, I don't even know if there's something to brag about, but hey, it was. I went out there and shot a decent game. So hey, all city. I was like number 4 or 5 in the city.
Hey man, that's
sports. I was also on a robotics team, so that was also something that got me introduced to being hands-on and problem solving. That also contributed to me wanting to go into engineering. I had a teacher. I give him a shout out. His name is Mr. Adam Auster. He's still the physics teacher at Renaissance High School, and he was also the actual advisor for our robotics team. So I'll give him a shout out. Really introduced me to. I will say he's a Spartan. He went to Michigan State. I do not condone Michigan State Spartans, but he was a great teacher, and he contributed to me wanting to be an engineer and actually go into STEM. How about you? Cool. What were you into in high school?
So like from, I would say about 3rd grade up until my junior year of high school, I played football, and I stopped playing football my senior year because me and the coach, I just didn't like him. So I stopped playing. But so ever since then, I switched from football focus to kind of like the engineering focus. We didn't have a robotics program. We didn't have a robotics team at my school at the time. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go start with my senior year and get the school funding to help do what I want to do. So, and then also instead of football things during the summer, I would do engineering stuff. So like I went to 2 engineering camps, one at the University of Dayton was for like a week. And that was it was only $100 and all you had to do was drive there. And it was for a week at the University of Dayton for minority students. And then I also went to I think it was a month-long program at Johns Hopkins University for engineering, where they went through a bunch of different disciplines of engineering as well. So that was pretty cool. But as far as sports, I played football, wrestled, ran track, and played rugby.
Oh man, your high school had a rugby team?
Yeah, we had a rugby team. I've always liked rugby, probably since like the 6th grade, but I never played it. And then my senior year, since I wasn't running track, I decided to play rugby, and I was like, that's the closest thing to football since I didn't play football that year. Like, well, let me go ahead and play rugby. And that was probably the most fun I've had playing a sport, especially because, like, I don't know, like football, I take that very seriously, so my mindset's different. Rugby, I was just trying to have fun, and it was fun.
Rugby looks very fun. It looks like when we used to play bottle ball in middle school, and that was a Gatorade bottle.
Yep, toss that ball, toss
it out there.
Whoever catch it, tackle.
Yeah, right. You run into the end zone, and if you don't make it, I mean, you just gotta toss it up. Somebody else time, right?
Yeah, I swear everybody that plays football has played that game before.
Oh, definitely. Pick them up, mess them up, bottle ball, whatever you want to call it.
So every region has a different name for it.
What y'all call
it? For us, it was throw up tackle.
Throw up tackle. I haven't heard that one.
Exactly what the game. Throw it up, tackle.
Tackle. Whoever got it, it don't matter. The teacher could have called it. They getting tackled too.
Yeah, man, it was funny because in middle school they always took balls from us. We played with bottles, sticks. You name if it was something you could pine cones, you could toss it up. That was that.
They
was
wouldn't let us bring our own footballs, so they used to sell Gatorades at lunch, and it was always somebody had to buy Gatorade, and then once they drank it, they would fill it up with water, and then we was playing bottle ball with it. That's what it was, because they wouldn't let us bring footballs. You got to be innovative, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly what it was. One sport I always wanted to try was, and it was no Detroit Public Schools that had a lacrosse team. I always wanted to try lacrosse. It always looked like a cool sport to me. I don't know why, but I don't know. I just want to be out there.
Yeah, my brother, he played lacrosse. I had a lacrosse stick. I know a little something,
I don't know.
So
it seems like it takes.
Yeah,
it takes some skill for real to play that game, though.
Yeah, it does. My high school at the time I was there was nationally ranked in lacrosse. Well, if for those that don't know, Maryland is a very, very highly competitive state when it comes to lacrosse. Probably number one. That's like, but if jousting wasn't our state sport, lacrosse would be. It's
like Florida and Georgia with football. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's like like Johns Hopkins. They're D1 and look on nothing. Only lacrosse. That's the only sport that they're D1 in.
Makes sense.
Like
I got you.
And in Maryland, like Johns Hopkins, Maryland, all the schools around the DMV are really good on lacrosse.
Got you.
And we have a major league lacrosse team, and they win the championship a lot.
So you just taught me something. I didn't know it was a major league lacrosse league.
Yeah, Chesapeake Bayhawks or something like that. Yeah, Chesapeake Bayhawks.
Cool.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That's solid.
So, let's see. I think that's it for today. Unless you had something else you wanted to talk about or get off your chest.
Get off my chest. You happy your boy Lamar Jackson is back out there?
Yeah, man. I thought we was gonna lose that game, especially when he went out. I was like, bruh, I was like, oh man, we about to lose to the Browns. Come on.
Hey,
I know the Browns are good this
year.
Yeah, right.
Baker looking like a different player this year.
Yeah,
Kevin Stefanski 9-4 now.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski really, really helped that organization out.
Got you, cool. Got you.
But yeah.
So do you think Lamar has passed up Mike Vick yet, or what you thinking in terms of that debate?
I think as a passer, no, but I think by this year having COVID, because if you progress his progress from his first year to his second year, he made a huge jump. This year, not being able to practice with your receivers and with him and with his skill set, as well as how the offense is structured, and then a lot of his tight ends and stuff going away, is I was expecting a drop off a little bit in his production. So I think by him, I think he really needs an offseason to get tight with his receivers, and then once he gets that, I think he'll be straight. Because it's how can he I don't know. Do you play Madden?
I play Madden.
Yeah, he's practically unstoppable in Madden.
I mean, Michael Vick on what was it, Madden 07? He was 04. He was different.
Yeah.
His speed was like a 99, juke was like a 95. He was unstoppable, man.
Yeah, and he's literally and Lamar's literally been doing that in real life to folks, been making folks look stupid. I'm just like, bruh.
Yeah.
Speaking of football teams, go ahead. I was going to say, speaking of football teams, what is up with your Lions? When are y'all ever going to be good?
Hey, I'm obligated to be a Lions fan, but if I had to choose, I would not be a Lions fan, man. But
what team would you choose?
For some odd reason, when it was definitely Mike Vick and T.O., but I was always an Eagles fan.
Eagles, okay.
I was Eagles fan for some reason, odd reason. And shout out to my boy, man, Jalen Hurts. That's a man of Omega Psi Phi right there, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So shout out to him, man. He got his first win. So I think he about to turn that Eagles program around. I'm looking forward to see what he does with him.
I'm about to say, I don't care what team, as long as it's not the Steelers or the Patriots.
What you got against the Steelers, man?
Everything. I hate the Steelers. Well, and low key Indianapolis for leaving, but I don't really care as much. I do I do have. I did like the Colts for a little bit when Marvin Harrison was on the team.
Oh yeah, you were on the Peyton Manning fan or just Marvin Harrison?
I'm a Marvin Harrison fan.
Just Marvin Harrison. I did like Ray Lewis when he was on the Ravens. I was partially a Ravens fan just because he was going crazy, and his name was Ray. Like, what's not to like about the man? You know?
Well, if it gives you any consolation, my favorite running back is Barry Sanders.
One of the GOATs, definitely. I got a NSBE question for you. What are you most looking forward to in the new year, 2021, with NSBE TCPC? What's on your list of this is something that our membership should be watching out for? The NSBE TCPC is about to be, making happen.
So NSBE wise, career wise, or life wise?
NSBE wise.
NSBE wise, I would say probably like our relationship with MSP. Like Minnesota does not have an NSBE Junior chapter currently, and MSP is and as well as the Girl Scouts, which we may talk about in a later episode. But those two, getting a NSBE Junior chapter in Minnesota, I think will help a lot. And I think MSP is really key to that. For those that don't know, MSP is Minnesota STEM Partnership. They're a STEM organization in Minnesota that helps youth around the state, well, around Minneapolis and St. Paul, St. Paul. A lot of the things that I hope that I've been wanting to try to start since my first time in the chapter 3 years ago, as being the PCI chair, was to try to get an NSBE Junior chapter. And seems like, we're finally on the track to get there. And so NSBE Junior for sure. And secondly, probably how this podcast grows. Like I'm very interested, and I look forward to the conversations that I tend to have with some of the folks, especially for our episode for February for the Love Engineer, Alex Mary, our chapter sponsor. That conversation is going to be great, and I can't wait to chat with her.
Oh yeah, she always brings some eye-opening statistics and facts that, looking at love from an engineer's lens. I love having her every year for the partnerships that we do with her. Love Alex Mary, shout out to her. Also, you talked about MSP. Shout out to MSP. Shout out to Dr. Wolf and the team. Really appreciate everything that they're doing for the Minnesota Twin Cities. And looking forward to, again, like you said, partnering with them more in 2021 and making some great things happen for the community.
Sure. Okay. And I guess another thing, I got an answer question for you. What do you see your vision? So for those that don't know, NSBE TCPC has a kind of a rule where you can't stay in the same position for more than 2 years. This is your second year. So as the president. So what would you like to see the chapter go to in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years?
Yeah, from the moment you leave till, from 5 years down the road.
Oh yeah.
What would you like to see?
Our strategic vision is that we want NSBE TCPC to be the nucleus, the center of Black technical excellence here in the Twin Cities. That is what I envision for the chapter. Again, like you already said, my 2 years up as president, I don't plan to fully detach, but I plan to be around, be an active member. And hopefully when my, time of having to be off the board is up, I'm still gonna, hopefully be in leadership again. But I want NSBE to be, leading community-centered projects, right? And that, the community can, tap into NSBE, of course, to get, their youth exposed to STEM challenges, STEM exposure programs, NSBE Seek, MSP, all of these things. But also, like, we're utilizing the resources that we as engineers, that of course we work at all these other companies across the Twin Cities, like Cummins, General Mills, Target, right? We have engineers at all these companies, but we're also, utilizing our personal expertise that we've accumulated from our jobs, from our studies, even maybe our certifications, in order to do community-focused projects, building and empowering, bettering, the Twin Cities, Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, right? Things that our community actually needs, like we're talking about football fields, we're talking about infrastructures, right? So things that will empower and allow our youth to grow, but allow our community to grow as well. So that's kind of what I see. Again, the center, the nucleus of Black technical excellence in the Twin Cities.
Cool. That's a great vision to have. I would say that I think that's all I have for today.
Hey, I want to say thanks for having me. It's a great conversation. Appreciate the conversation, man. You know, I got. If anybody recognizes this background, this is from Home Alone. So I got some Home Alone movies queued up that I'm gonna get to tonight. Just relax. I got my out of office message set. It's the holiday time. I'm on vacation. They better not email me. If they do email me, I'm not looking at it. So it's time to relax and wind down because they didn't work me this year. They didn't work all of us this year. So we all deserve this time, man.
Yep, definitely. Oh, I know one thing I wanted to talk about. You want to shout out some of our scholarships and things like that that are available to those that live in the Twin Cities area?
Yeah, so we just closed up our first round of scholarships. We had a scholarship with Seagate, one of our corporate sponsors, that we also offered a scholarship, but also an opportunity for an internship. First of its kind here in the Twin Cities. So, innovative, groundbreaking stuff right there. But you did not miss out on all your opportunities. We got more scholarships that we're dropping. Engineering Week, February, late February, after we do, after Valentine's Day. I think it's February 21st is when Engineers Week starts. But we have a week load of programming, and we're also announcing our round 2 of scholarships for collegiate students who are already pursuing their engineering or STEM degree, but also graduating seniors of high school, right? If you're interested and you're planning to pursue a degree in a STEM field, in engineering, science, technology, mathematics major, right? You can apply for a scholarship through NSBE TCPC, and we will help start funding your freshman year through, your collegiate until you graduate, right? So you can continue to apply for these scholarships that we're putting out because we want to make sure that we're empowering, again, the next generation of young Black engineers coming through the pipeline. So make sure you apply for those. Stay tuned to our website, nsbetcpc.org. Follow us on social media at NSBE TCPC. We've got a lot more updates coming soon.
Yep, and also we are enrolling our professional development scholarship as well, where we will pay up to, I believe, pay 50% or up to $500 for for your exam to obtain a certificate or for a class. So right now I'm taking a professional management class, and I will be applying for that professional development scholarship. So
as you should.
Those two. So be on the lookout for those, and those are there's no deadline for those. It's kind of I think we're granting 2 per quarter. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Take advantage of those, So yeah, you got to be a NSBE TCPC member for the professionals. So and a national pay member. So make sure you pay your dues.
Yep, definitely pay your dues. All right, I think that is going to be it for today. Thank you all for joining our first episode of the NSBE TCPC podcast, and I hope to see you all later. Thank you.
All right, y'all, continue to increase the number. Let's do it.
Definitely got to increase that number, 10,000 by 2025, right?
Let's do it.
Do it.